Here we go. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning for virtual community. For those of you who haven't been here before, I just want to let you know you can put questions into the chat or you can unmute at the end. And we'll have a little session at the end for questions. So we have Blake from Red Horse Ranch in Bremen with us this morning. She's going to tell us a little bit about what they do and give us some information. So Blake, turn it over to you.
Okay, cool. I'll start by having you all join me in a group prayer that my kids behave themselves. So just do a quick moment of silence for that. So I guess own and run a lesson and boarding barn in Bremen. It doesn't feel like I own and run it. It just kind of feels like where I live and people sometimes come and give me money to do things. Definitely feels more like a hobby. It does not feel like a business at all, which is good. Guess if you do what you love, then it doesn't feel like a job. So I do mostly like small kids. I really, really like young children in lessons just because they really, really enjoy the horses and kind of like brings back the life in it for me too. I started riding when I was about 4. I actually got kicked out of Otterbine's riding program for laughing. I was not taking it seriously enough, so she kicked me out. And so I feel like because of that, I probably have a little bit more like passive teaching style when I ride. When I teach, I don't like yell at the kids a lot and tell them what to do all the time. I kind of just observe more and then throw out tidbits of instruction. So I feel like even if you come and ride every day, if I never said anything to you, you would just get better on your own, right? The more you do something, the better you get at it. So yeah, I'm a very low key teacher. So if you want to like go to the Olympics, this is not the place for you. But if you want to enjoy your time, and if you want your kids to not be scared of their teacher and be scared of horses and be scared to ride, this is more the style. So I prepared a little video, so we'll do that, and then I can like talk more, or if people have questions or whatever. I live here at the farm, obviously. We have 30 acres. Right now, we just got a new horse here the other day, so I think we're at 8 now, a boarding horse. So I have 5 boarding horses and 3 of my own horses that we use here, and they're all different ages and types and colors, and so they'll be in some of the pictures and stuff that will be on the video. So okay, so we'll start that, and then I'll pause it and like throw information out or talk over it or whatever. So like I said, if you have any questions, just shout. If I remember how to do this here. That's big. Everybody see it? Is it up? Yeah, okay, cool. Okay. Well, these are my 3 horses. Ike, Wednesday, and Easy. That's me and Wednesday. She's my draft horse, so I pretty much just trail ride her. That's one of my boarders, Cisco. Oh, that's me and my little Waylon. So this is one of my older lesson kids giving Ike a bath. So we do stuff like that sometimes. This is one of my little boarding lesson students. So that's her horse. This is another lesson student learning how to lead a horse. So this is Ruby. This is actually my daughter doing a little lesson here that she filmed a lesson for me. So we get her helmet on, which is the first thing we do. Always have to have a helmet on, be safe when we ride. She's probably going to be like the least behaved of all my lesson kids that I could have gotten a video of because she's my own kid. So this is Easy. She's one of our lesson horses. She's real sweet. Goes nice and slow for everybody. She can be kind of lazy, but better to be lazy than crazy, I always say.
You put that on t-shirt for everybody?
Yeah, I can. That'll be the new Red Horse Ranch slogan. Better to be lazy than crazy. So we always start out grooming. Obviously you can see like all the dust coming off her and stuff. You want to get all that out so that way the saddle doesn't rub it and make her sore or anything like that. Which is it's pretty much just me grooming a horse and a kid like standing there doing one single spot, depending on the age. They always want to brush the mane and the tail because it's like real hair. That's like their favorite. Usually I'll like be asking kids questions. Obviously I know everything about Ruby, but I'll say like, oh, have you ridden before? And was the horse nice or was it slow? Was it fast? Was it bigger than easy? Was it smaller than easy? That way I can kind of get an idea for like what they've done and if they're used to real small horses, if they're used to a bigger horse, which can, you know, tell you if they're going to be nervous or anything like that. We talk about, you know, don't walk behind the horse and stuff like that, a little bit of safety, picking out her hooves, making sure there's no rocks and big chunks of dirt in there. Ruby's really helpful, not getting all of her stuff on. A lot of people do like a full safety lesson. I don't. I think it kind of like comes inherently. And it's just like, what a way to bore a kid is just have a whole lesson on safety, blah. Plus all my horses are well behaved enough, like they're not gonna hurt anybody. So Ruby could literally walk underneath her belly right now and she wouldn't do anything. And then I'd be like, ooh, maybe we don't do that next time. She's playing with her mouth a whole bunch. Getting our saddle on here. Usually like the older kids, I'll explain a little bit more how to do that. The younger kids, it's just, if they're watching or even playing with the horse, I'm happy. They're not like chasing cats around the arena or something. I consider it a win, which they do sometimes, which is fine. It's all part of the farm experience. Ruby's getting Easy's bridle, which is basically your steering wheel. Oh. Usually all of my lessons are an hour. I have like a 30-minute lesson, but it would have to be a really little kid because it goes super fast. Because this part alone, the grooming and getting them ready and stuff, takes a while. Adjusting her stirrups. Stirrups are the things you put your feet in, so I got to make them taller and shorter for different kids. And so usually, especially with little kids, I'll walk around with them at first and we'll kind of like chat and they'll tell me that like their mom burnt French fries last night and their sister got in trouble for something. Like I know everything about every single one of my lesson families because kids have zero filter, which is fine. But I like them to feel comfortable. So we'll just walk around and talk and kind of talk about steering a little bit and stopping the horse and making the horse go. And then they'll tell me more about like how they just went to Florida and saw a pelican and whatever, you know, it's like 90% stories from kids, 10% teaching, I think. So we'll usually do a few laps walking around together. Easy's not on a lead rope or anything. Like I'm not holding her. She just is walking next to me. So she's riding alone, but Easy's not gonna like, you know, do anything because I'm standing there next to her and she's used to that. So now she's gonna start going around by herself. depending on the age. I mean, like I have some kids who are more nervous and I'll walk around with them the whole hour, which is totally fine. And some kids I do one lap and then they go, and I try really hard to stand in the middle, but I'm really, really bad about not following the kids around. So I'll end up walking in my arena for like 6 hours a day, which is a great leg workout. Ruby's ridden a lot, so there wasn't like a ton to tell her to. Although those are a different set of reins than she always uses, which she's really ticked off about right now. And so there was a lot of like chat about that. Oh, here she's stopping easy. And then she'll ask her to go again. We'll work on that. We'll play like red light, green light, or Simon Says. Try and make it fun and not just start, stop, you know. Kids like red light, green light a lot. Okay, so here she's gonna work on steering. We're gonna like snake through these cones. That's all my lesson kids do, that to work on steering. Ruby just turned 5, so I have little, she's probably my youngest. I think I have one just turned 4-year-old that kind of, I stay with her the whole time, but she's around my youngest. But I have quite a few kids like 5 and 6 years old, and they're able to do all the things that the older kids do pretty much. We're steering through the cones again, working on that. Sometimes, like, I feel like they can't, you'll be saying something, spread your hands out, and they're like, just whoop, with kids, you know, so you have to like physically move their hands or their feet, or so we do a lot of that too. It's pretty hands-on. Like, I don't just sit in a corner and shout at kids what to do. Oh, now she's trotting, which is a little bit faster gait. Bouncing around like a little bean up there. The next gait would be loping, which I don't have a ton of kids that lope because I have a lot of little kids. I probably have like 3 kids that lope. So mostly walking and trotting, which is good because you can do a lot just with that, practicing steering. And okay, so here we're working on groundwork. Is anything, obviously self-explanatory, anything you do on the ground. So leading, brushing. So she's practicing leading easy, and I'm just making sure Easy doesn't run her over there since she's so tiny. This is my son, my oldest kid, Bennett, showing at fair this year. He shows in 4-H. That's showmanship. Showmanship is all on the ground. It's maneuvers as you're walking the horse and stuff like that. He got 4th place out of like 11 or something, so decent. And that is it. for the video. Okay, stop share. Okay. So that's pretty much, and then boarding is kind of self-explanatory. Like I take care of people's horses for them. That's pretty much all there is to that. So I definitely spend more time on the lessons than I do the boarding, only because I have pretty easy horses to take care of as far as boarders go. Throw them some hay, fill up their water, and they're pretty much set. So that's pretty much it that I can think of. If anybody has any questions or anything like that, shoot. I have my Google ready just in case somebody asks me a horse trivia question. So.
In 1978, no, I'm just kidding. I don't really have one. I do have some questions though. First, thank you for the brainworm song. That just will be in my head all day today. I'll be whistling that. It's already there. You don't have to reinforce it. All right. So one thing I was curious. What?
Good for getting things done around the house. That little ditty.
Try to remember that. So you talk a lot about like your laid back style and like how you don't really, care about safety, which I don't believe, but but I will say that from experience when I was a kid, I remember that people didn't spend time making me feel comfortable, and I think that translated to the horse's comfort. And so I think that your style of being laid back and kind of like a whoa, whatever, is very important because you know what the horses need from the people that are there, and it's about making everybody feel comfortable. So I think that's really cool and something that you should probably recognize a bit more about why you do what you do.
Yeah, I will say, like, nothing's like more terrifying than somebody being like, don't walk behind this horse, it'll kick you. Don't get too close to his face, it might bite you. Don't kick too hard because it'll take off and you'll never come back. And like things like that, we're like, we can get to those things eventually, like I said, and my arena's fenced in, so there's only so far a horse can go. Plus my horses are pretty lazy. If anything, they're going to stand at the gate where they get to go back with their friends and not move for a kid. We have that problem way more than we have like horses taking off, which we've never had happen. So yeah, I try to like keep it low key, and like I said, I don't want to make kids afraid of horses. I think that happens a lot. And I don't want kids to be afraid of me either. So I don't want to be like this crazy strict instructor who's like screaming at them and saying, if you don't pull back, the horse is going to blah, 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 because that's what happened to me at Otterbein. The lady was like, these horses are going to fight each other. And of course, I'm like really weird. When people get mad at me, I laugh, which is just I'm very manic that way, I guess. And so I laughed because she yelled at me and was like, these horses are about to fight each other, and I was like 5. So I laughed, and then she kicked me out because I was not taking it seriously enough. And I'm like, well, I'm 5. No 5-year-old takes anything seriously, and so you have to think about your audience, right? And like my kids are laughing the entire lesson and goofing off and stuff. And I'm like, all right, let's bring it back. Let's bring it back now, guys, So, but that's part of being a kid, and you have to just accept it or just don't teach kids, right?
I have a question. Do you only teach children? I mean, if we had maybe an adult that had a disability and wanted to learn to ride, would you be equipped to maybe teach them? Maybe by having maybe they can't get on a horse, you might have a step stool or I guess stairs to help them get on a horse.
I do have a mounting block, which a lot of kids actually prefer to use versus me helping them up. And so it's funny because Pam has asked me about this a lot, like teaching to people with disability. It's really tricky only from like a liability perspective. And typically like instructors who teach people with disabilities have like special certifications. Not only that, but the horses do too. Horses, I want to say it's called like a PATH certification, which I have no idea what it stands for. I was going to try and figure it out, but I won't. So like they'll put the horses through like a complete series of tests to make sure that if the person were to even fall off, the horse doesn't, spook and go, what the heck's going on? Or if their body position is like more, over versus sitting up, that they're okay with that, just like different weight distributions and stuff. So eventually I think it would be something that would be really awesome to do, and probably easy, and maybe Ike. Easy would probably be fine. But yeah, you're supposed to have all these special certifications, just like teaching person with disability and stuff like that. So it's definitely a tricky thing. I have had a girl come just to like be around the horses who is autistic before. And groundwork is obviously, that's probably less of an issue than actually getting on and sitting up. And they even make like special saddles and stuff like that. So yeah, it just gets into like a whole nother world of things that, not that I'm not open to, but I just don't have all the ducks in a row to do it at this time. If that makes sense. I hope that answers the question. But I do have some adult riders also that, I don't just teach kids, although I really enjoy teaching kids. But yeah, go ahead, Pam. Did you have a
No,
follow-up?
I was just going to say that I think that when it comes to like the label of a person with a disability and who you can and cannot, I almost wonder if it's like on an assessment basis, because there's plenty of people who could have a disability and it's not going to hinder their ability to, come and learn how to ride a horse. So maybe it's more of like like I said, like a person-centered, like what are their needs and can you accommodate? If you can't, and that falls into that other realm, then yes, that's probably something that they wouldn't be safe to do.
Yeah, there's definitely, a sliding scale there of, abilities, right? So
Yeah.
the more able somebody is physically and stuff like that, it's obviously going to be easier. And the more extra stuff you need, right? Just as with anything,
True, I agree with that. Yeah, that we have a lot of individuals that can ride and not have any issues with riding. We have a lot of individuals that drive. So my other question would be, what would the cost for a lesson be?
The lessons are $40 an hour, so which I found is pretty comparable to what's around here. If not, maybe even a little bit less is only what my lesson parents have told me. It's not, I'm not trying to like tell you that you can get the best deal here and whatever,
Bargain barn. Come to Blake's Bargain Barn. Get your bargain lessons. Do you do packages, or is it just strictly like if I want an hour here or an hour there?
So I was doing packages for a little bit, and only because my one like main lesson horse, this is gonna make it sound like she's crippled, and she's not. I take very good care of my horses, but she's having like intermittent, where she'll like kind of be gimpy on one foot, and probably, unless anybody here is familiar with horse gaits, none of you would ever probably see it. Like I see it because I'm used to watching horses move all the time. None of my lesson parents ever notice it. They're like, she looks fine. I'm like, I know she does, but she's got like a weird little step thing she's doing right now. So until I kind of get that resolved, which is just essentially taking a bucket of money and throwing it at her, I'm only doing individual lessons, and then I'll go back to selling packages, only because I don't want like 10 people to buy 4 lessons, which is how I usually sell my packages. And then all of a sudden my horse has to take like a month off, and then all these people are like, but we have 3 lessons left and I've got to teach 30 lessons somehow. And if that makes sense. So
What's the schedule like? When can people schedule their lessons?
So I mostly do weekends, only because my husband watches my kids while I teach. But we are adding a few weekday evenings. So weekends and weekday evenings is mostly what we do right now. And then in the future, once my kids get older, it's a free for all. Can't wait. Can't wait for these kids to grow up.
Careful what you wish for, because it might just change. It might be super crazy, but just in fun new ways. My question was, are you always in the arena, or do you have, do you take the horses and the students out of there, or is it always in that area?
We do occasionally do like a little mini trail ride. We don't do anything too crazy, only because I haven't like cut great trails on my property. And so that actually becomes a whole nother liability issue that I would have to you have to have separate insurance for trail rides. It's literally insane. And so mostly we do arena work. We do a little bit of like mini trail ride, which is pretty flat, like rolling hills more than like crazy crossing creeks over logs type of stuff. Because basically, like, I mean, imagine something going wrong in the arena that's fenced in, where it's like soft sand on the ground. And then imagine something going wrong in the woods where there's like briars and branches and rocks everywhere. So just even if it's the exact same thing happening in both places, obviously it's a totally different situation, not in a fenced in area, in the woods, whatever. But we do like a little mini trail ride and stuff like that. It's good practice, and the horses like to get out a little bit. And so I don't do like guided trail rides. Like if you go to like Smoke Rise Ranch or something and you do like a guided trail ride where you just get on a horse and follow each other around. We don't do that.
I wanted to bring it to your attention that Scott gifted us the PATH acronym, which is Program for Adaptive Therapeutic Horses. Oh, just a guess. Never mind. Sorry, Scott. I thought you were going to throw some expertise at us. That's a good guess. It was better than my perfectly acceptable trained horses. Scott, did you look that up? Oh, maybe he can't. Just trying to figure it out.
You're Googling, aren't you?
I was going to do it. So why do you include like getting the horse ready and everything in the lesson, like rather than just having the horse ready to rock and roll?
Well, I will say occasionally the horse is ready, only because I'll teach like back-to-back lessons, and so there will be like less getting ready, you know. I always try to like take the Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship. There you go. I think it's like it's good work ethic mostly. I don't want to do it by myself. No. I think people get into like a weird habit of, in some barns, of showing up, riding and leaving and like doing none of the stuff surrounding it. And it's not a good example of what it takes to take care of a horse, or, you know. There's some barns that do it that way, and that's their prerogative. And plus I feel like groundwork is really like what builds the relationship with the horse too. If you're training horses from like when they're feral or when they're babies, it's a lot of groundwork. Groundwork is where it's a lot of foundation. So anytime kids are like brushing and stuff, it's kind of more bonding than just being up there and steering and riding and stuff.
I feel like it sets more of a realistic view as to what it's all about too. I think maybe some people would just think like it's all just fun and riding and, you know, all that, when there's a lot of other things that it's a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny because I will say, like, of horses in the world, mine are probably the lowest maintenance horses, because I don't like a lot of maintenance. I have a lot of maintenance in my normal life. I don't want a lot of maintenance in my horse life, right? I have 4 kids. And so like a lot of my lesson parents whose kids want horses, they'll be like, just ask Miss Blake, horses are a lot of work. And I'm like, well, they're really not actually. Like, my dog is probably more work than these horses, but yeah, sure, you know. But I mean, getting ready it's a little bit of a process. You know, you can't just walk out and jump on a horse. You have to make sure they're clean, or they'll get sores, you know, they'll get rubs from the saddle and stuff. And So yeah, it's important to actually take care of the horse. Like you got to treat your stuff nice, right? Got to put your baseball stuff back in the bag so it doesn't get all torn up. Like horses are the same way. You got to brush them first. It's just part of the process.
Like, do you have a website or your Facebook page where people can go check out more information about you later?
Yeah, we do have a Facebook page. I worked on a website, which I think actually I probably like showed Pam when I was working on it maybe. And I just haven't, she's like, I don't know, maybe. I haven't like published it because I don't know why. It was just causing me stress because I'm not a web designer. So we have a Facebook page, which I'll say this, like, so my sister and I were on the phone last night talking about this because I was like, whoa, what am I gonna say? And she was like, do you have a Facebook? And I was like, yeah, of course we have a Facebook. And she was like, I don't think I follow you. And so she went and followed me and she was like, it's just a lot of you rambling. I was like, yeah, it is. So it's a lot of me posting like a 4-paragraph status, and then like a few pictures. So, but all the general information that you might need is also on there, like where I don't have our exact address because it's also my home address. So I don't like to just put that on Facebook. I mean, I guess anybody could go to the auditor's website and like look it up or whatever, but I try to like, I mean, this is my home where my kids live and stuff, but yeah, pictures, and I'll post like fun videos of the kids riding and weather updates for lessons because I only have the outdoor arena, so it's like if it rains, it's a whole thing. So yeah, it's just Red Horse Ranch. If it doesn't come up, I would type like Red Horse Ranch and then search by location and even do like Lancaster or Bremen or something. It should pop up. It's a page, not a group or whatever, if that helps.
Pam's got you covered in the chat. If anybody wants to go to it, the link's right there in the chat. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Quiet today. I don't see any more in the chat. Okay, well, you covered everyone actually covered all my questions. I was making notes and then Pam asked a lot of them. So I think you covered a lot.
Awesome.
I don't see any more. Okay, cool. Well, thank you.